me your picks, give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly. Because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bad.
All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Tuesday. Mike Carver here with you along with Doug Kezirian as we get ready for all of tonight's action. We got a big night, NBA, NHL, really good college basketball night as well with a doubleheader at the Garden. We've got MACtion. It is all happening. Doug, good to see you as always. Pretty good night last night, except for my best bet. Everything else was pretty good, though, especially in the Cowboy Raider game. How are you?
I'm going to say, did you sweep the board otherwise? That was impressive stuff. Every time I look at the props, I'm like, oh, I think that's another Carver win. Good job on Pickens. Sniff that out across the board. The yards, the touchdown. I've given up on the Raiders, so I don't get disappointed when they look like what they did, but it's really just an embarrassment. And actually, I'm kind of embarrassing myself. I said it, even though I leaned Raiders, I go, Cowboys do manhandle all the bad teams. They probably are going to smoke them here, but I wish I had known more how emotionally up they were for this game, having lost a teammate during the bye week and just the locker room rallying around it. There's kernels of information out there all the time. Obviously, I knew what happened. I didn't realize how much of a source of inspiration it was going to be, a galvanizing thing. And that's something I overlooked, live and learn. But it's really important to dig deep in some of these beat writers, things like that. Now, sometimes it can have a negative effect. So it's not just, but it's something to keep in mind, especially early on in game. If you see what you like, you can pounce. The live market was really interesting last night. The Cowboys were up 11. Live line was 9. Second half was Raiders minus a half. Then they punt. All of a sudden, it switched to 4 points second half Cowboys. So really strange movement if you're kind of into that, watching the screen and the live markets there. But all in all, we're still on. If you count my Patriots minus 12.5 instead of 13, we're each 9-2 against the spread in our last 11 bets.
I say that's pretty good. We're doing all right.
I would say that's pretty good.
We're getting there. We are getting there. We're going to get back on the horse tonight, try to get that daily double, another victory here. And we have a lot to get to. Let's start it, Doug, in the NBA first, as we have got a bunch of games there, 6 games, including, of course, NBC and Peacock. Not really doubleheader. It is kind of. You get one game on NBC, the other game on Peacock. We'll do the Grizzlies and the Spurs to start things off here. Grizzlies, of course, coming in, catching 6 on the road in San Antonio. No Wembanyama for them. 233.5 the total right now at Bet Rivers.
Not just no Wemby, also no Stephon Castle. So he left last game after 4 minutes, and he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. Shams tweeting that out just a few minutes ago. I think it's really interesting because this Grizzlies team's been terrible, right? They've lost 4 straight. Really sort of a disappointment this year. Not that I thought much from them coming into the year, but others did. I like the Spurs, and I like the Spurs across the board. They rallied around losing Wemby the last game, took care of business against Sacramento. I think Memphis sort of offers a similar resistance. So I like Spurs first quarter, first half game. I was looking at some props. Luke Cornett had 11 rebounds in the last game, but he only played like 13 minutes. So I think they're going to go small ball, except Grizzlies have some bigs, right? Jaren Jackson Jr. They also have Zach Edey. So I'm really tempted. I have a feeling Cornette could get like 15 rebounds if I knew how many minutes he was going to play. That's the concern. But I do like De'Aaron Fox. I think over 7.5 assists. I think anytime you have, a big injury like this, think about how much of the game plan revolves around Wemby, both offensively and defensively, right? And then now that Fox is sort of unleashed, not that it was a bad thing to have Wemby in the lineup, of course not. But now that Fox is unleashed and it's going to be more up and down, he's going to, everybody gets a chance to get the ball kind of thing. You don't have sort of a predictable offense. I think he's going to be able to just rack up the assists like he did in the last game. So, yeah, I liked it better against Sacramento than I do Memphis, but I think Memphis kind of stinks anyway. So, yeah, Needleman saying he got the 12.5. Most people did. I just wanted to be, we got to go with what Bet Rivers had at the time. I'm going to have over 7.5 assists for Fox. I think that's a really strong play, all things considered, because I do think Memphis is going to play hard. So I think we have a relatively tight game. coming down to the wire. But of course, no Ja Morant either for the Grizz.
I did peek at the Cornet. It's 8.5 as boards.
Yeah,
tonight.
but still, man, he only played like 11 minutes or whatever, 13 minutes in the last game.
I know. So it's tough. It's
I don't know why.
You never know how much burn he's going to get out there. So Spurs and Grizzlies to kick things off. That's, of course, East Coast, 8 o'clock. You get it on NBC. And West Coast, you'd get that one on Peacock. Flip that for 11 o'clock East, just after 8 o'clock West. Suns and the Blazers in Portland. Portland minus 2.5 at home. 236.5 the total at Bet Rivers.
This is a tough one. The Suns had one of the worst beats you've ever had. They were up about 24 in the fourth quarter. I think 9 minutes to go, and they lost the game. Typically, I like backing teams in this situation. Blazers have been a solid outfit. We've touched on them a lot. Really strong defensively when they have all their pieces clicking. Obviously, no chance. Chauncey Billups just doesn't, that's definitely disrupted their season. I'm going to play Suns first quarter just because I don't think the Blazers are going to come out like gangbusters or anything. I think the Suns will. So catch and a half. I think they obviously should have the lead. Maybe I should be on the over 30.5 team total. But the problem is the Blazers play pretty good defense. So that's my concern. And Suns have just like a weird team. Like it's the old sum of the parts kind of thing where they actually do well. They play well and they put up good numbers. I think Mark Williams switching to the starting lineup helped a lot, sort of unlock things. And then Booker's been fantastic with assists and just doing everything. And Gillespie, I said it a couple shows ago, he leads the NBA in 3-pointers made off the bench. So he's been fantastic. And then guys like Royce O'Neal have been a pleasant surprise. And I think this Suns coach is sneaky, like maybe getting some Coach of the Year buzz. I'm just saying they're going to have to make the playoffs, but I don't think it's that far-fetched if they do. So I lean Suns first quarter. It just doesn't add up. You know what I'm saying? Like I look at the lineup, I'm like, how the heck does this team? But they keep producing. They smoked the Clippers back-to-back 2 weekends ago. So I think they're a bet-on team. And I just think there's a little bit of line edge here in the first quarter, given how the last game ended in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they are 8-6 to start the year here, which is pretty good considering where everybody thought the Suns were going to be at the start of the season after trading Durant. And they really have got nothing, Jalen Green so far. Of course, tonight at Bet Rivers, NBA Midweek Live Profit Boost. Players who log on to Bet Rivers app will receive an NBA Live Profit Boost upon login every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Check see the Bet Rivers app or their website for full details. Get involved tonight right there. NBA Midweek Live Profit Boost. We have a few other games as well in the NBA to get to. Let's go to Brooklyn next, where the Celtics and the Nets get together. Celtics, the road favorite here, minus 10.5, 223.5. So it's not used to see totals that low anymore, Doug. Usually we're in the 230s almost every game, 223.5.
Boston and you would think Nets are going to go up and down track meet, but I disagree. I think I disagree with the correction to the totals. I do think we're going to see a lot of points. This Nets defense leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, and then some, right? Like they're not a good outfit. And they just don't care. Like they're what, GM or owner? I think their owner came right out and said at the beginning of the year saying basically we're going to tank. And sure enough, they have. They have the second worst defensive rating in the NBA. And I think the Celtics lick their chops in these situations. There's going to be a lot of threes here from Boston. And I think more so can go. I'm going to split up a unit here, first half and game team totals. I think Celtics actually have had a lot of second halves go over, but last year they had one of the slowest paces in the second half. A lot of that was because they had the lead and sort of just focused on half court sets and protecting it, particularly in the fourth quarter. That's not the makeup of this year's team for obvious reasons. So many guys different in their lineup, especially with Jason Tatum's injury. But I still think the Nets come out and are loosey-goosey in the first quarter, first half. So I think we're going to see a lot of points from Boston here.
We'll save the Lakers for last because I know we have a big return in that game tonight. We'll do the other East Coast games. Do we attack Nets with a player first quarter points again in that one? So the Nets there in the first quarter.
The problem with Boston is they move the ball around so much. You just don't know who's going to get points. So, it's just like last year, sometimes it was Horford, sometimes it was Tatum, Brown. It's just kind of no rhyme or reason. So that's why I've I've kind of shied away from props from the Celtics. That's just the way, the ball finds the open guy kind of thing.
It certainly does. I'll go to Orlando. The Warriors and the Magic. Of course, no Banchero for Orlando. Warriors minus 3.5 on the road. 223.5. Another lowish total for what we've seen.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch this game. No Kuminga for the Warriors, but Steph's been on an absolute tear, just a total sort of heater he's been on. And the Magic may have unlocked Desmond Bane with that buzzer beater, but they lost Banchero as well. But I think the offense is really clicking right now. Warriors were not good on the road until this recent swing, but how much of that is just Steph sort of proven to be the outlier and the fact that they just played in New Orleans and then they kind of had Wemby's number. We all saw Draymond Green jawing with him. And those were second halves that Steph just went bananas. So I actually think it's a really good spot to fade them. I'm just not convinced Orlando is like potent team without Banchero, even though things have been going well. So I'm inclined to, so it's Magic or pass for me. I haven't quite pulled the trigger. I just think the Warriors are going to hit this wall a little bit on this road trip. They have a back-to-back with tomorrow in Miami. Yes, you guessed it. So I'm hoping they lay the egg tomorrow, but sometimes they have a short flight to Miami tonight and they want to go out. So their focus is on, texting friends in Miami and things like that. So they may lay the egg tonight. So I might have to do a little bit on the Magic tonight.
Yeah, that is a tough. You got the Florida doubleheader. Want to get to Miami as fast as possible to get as much.
We've all been there.
Get in there for that. How often have you seen this, Doug? You got a team that has won 10 games in a row. That'll be the Detroit Pistons in Atlanta tonight. And I know we've got a lot of injury things with Detroit, but they are dogs. Hawks -1 at Bet Rivers, 230 flat.
Yeah, this number jumped out to me too. But the problem is, Cade Cunningham's questionable, and that's a big thing. Now, Jalen Duren's been an absolute beast. I mean, literally just dominating and putting up crazy double-doubles. I'm so happy for him. I'm just mad I haven't been on these sort of props, but he's been great. Such a good find by this front office. The Hawks have been on a roll themselves, right? Like, give them credit. We mentioned that Suns blowing the fourth quarter lead by 24 points or whatever it was. That was against Atlanta, and the Hawks have been rolling. I don't want to bet against either team right now. The numbers are kind of eye-opening without Trae Young for Atlanta. That is surprising, but Jalen Johnson's been an absolute stud. And that's where the league is heading, man. Like, it's all those types of 3-and-D players, the wings that are just so good. It's going to be a really good game. The problem is the Pistons are shorthanded, but they've also won 10 straight, mostly being shorthanded. I'd have to wait for Cunningham. If Cunningham's cleared, it might go off at Detroit -1, but
yeah.
Pistons, man, they're on track to be the 1 seed out east, which is not something we anticipated given Cleveland and the Knicks.
Yeah, they have been steamrolling, even with some guys in and out of the lineup. They've been taking care of business, 12-2, winning 10 in a row right now. And finally, another late night game just after 10:30 East in Los Angeles between the Jazz and the Lakers. Very big number here, 12.5 for the Lakers, 239.5, and that is also the return tonight, Doug, of the King, LeBron James. It sounds like going to make his season debut this evening.
The G League, he's got promoted. Congratulations to him. No, I think it'll be interesting, right? Like, LeBron, he's a genius on the court, right? And he's going to figure out a way to not disrupt this chemistry. It's still going to run through Luka. Frankly, last year was running through Luka a lot anyways. LeBron's a savant and he's a willing passer. So I'm not worried about a disruption. I think a cardio thing, I think he's not in like the right shape per se. But the Jazz want to get up and down. They're going to chuck and duck. I like the first half over. I think it's too few points, man. These guys want to run and gun. All these Jazz players are up for facing this game, playing at LA, playing, against LeBron, Luka. Reeves will eat too. I worry that might be a little flat for Luka and Reeves, but that means the Jazz are going to score. So that's why I didn't do a team total. I did a game first half total combined, obviously. So 116.5 feels pretty low, even though the Jazz seemingly play overtime games and crazy fourth quarters. That's why the half is shaded to the less than half the game total. But I still think there's line value here. So that's my favorite play here on this game. But in terms of props, like I need to see it. I don't think LeBron's going to take the Manu Ginobili role, play the sixth man and all that. That just means when you come into the game, obviously he's going to play fourth quarter no matter what. But I wonder if they do a little bit of that, staggering some of the players. But I don't think you need to. I think he'll fit in just nice, just fine.
Yeah, I looked at his props, Doug, just because, it's LeBron and what are we catching here? Now, there could be also some kind of minutes, I'm going to say restriction, but I'm sure he's not going to play 35 minutes tonight, obviously, with his first game back. I mean, his numbers, 6 assists is plus 128. If he's going to dish the ball around a little bit while he's out there to Luka, that's not a bad number. I mean, 4.5 is minus 140 something, but 6 assists and plus money. 15 and a half is his points at minus 127 to the over. He's going to be involved, right? I mean, no matter how long he's out there, he's going to be in the mix.
I think it just goes back to your point, like how many minutes is he going to play? And he volunteered that his lungs, I think he called them smoker's lungs or something. He doesn't smoke, but he just says he's not like in game shape, basically is what he was saying.
Right. So, but you could, especially with it being the Jazz, that gets you into a situation where if they're up 27 in the third quarter, you're not going to see him probably in that last quarter.
No, but the Jazz don't go away. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this will be right around between 15 and 9. I think it's going to be right there.
5 and 8, Doug. Your Jazz. I mean, they are taking care.
They're such a better team
now.
at home too. You know what? If I were willing, I should be. Well, they call those the bands, right? I'd be betting the bands. Those right. Exact outcomes.
Right there. There you go. Good night of NBA that we have ahead of us this evening. 6 games, including the return of LeBron coming up. All right, we're gonna have about college basketball. We've been keeping college basketball towards the back end on Betting Weekly Live, night to night, Doug. We've got a couple really good ones at Madison Square Garden for the State Farm Champions Classic. Of course, Michigan State, Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, all in town. We'll start with the early game, which tips just after 6:30 East, and that is Michigan State and Kentucky. Right now, -4 for Kentucky, 154 the total.
Yeah, I go back and forth here because I'm literally I don't know, programmed to not bet Sparty at this juncture of the season, but I thought they played pretty well, right? They had a nice win against Arkansas, and that should say something, right? Because this is Izzo clicks at the end of the season. But I just think Kentucky's too loaded. And 3.5. I mean, how do you not bet this? Now, Izzo's been here before, done that. I actually think Pope's a really good coach and a great fit, perfect timing to come to this Wildcats program. I like UK here. I just think it's a short number, but I just keep looking at that Michigan State game, how they played against Arkansas. I was really impressed, but I think there's a little bit step up in class. Calipari's former team. So they beat Calipari, but this is his former team. But I think the recruiting class, they're loaded. I think they'll be ready for the stage. I lean at least to the Cats.
I'm with you. It's Kentucky or nothing for me tonight. I got to go with the Wildcats, especially in the Garden. Tough, like you said. Izzo's. That's a February, March is when we start to lean towards Izzo and Sparty. Bet Rivers does have a special for you tonight in this game. Spartan Surge, Michigan State to win the first half versus Kentucky, boosted from plus 160 to plus 200. So plus 2 bills, Doug, for that's first half. Remember, just the first half, Michigan State's got to win.
You have my attention there. I think these are soft markets. We don't really know what the right number is for this game. We don't know who's really good, right? Let's not forget in college football, top 5 coming into the season, Texas won, Penn State up there. I mean, that's not the case anymore, right? So not that I think Michigan State and Kentucky are going to flame out like those teams did this year, but the market is really soft. The power ratings are soft. And for all we know, Michigan State on a neutral court should be a 1-point favorite over Kentucky, for all we know, right? So to get boosted to $2, I think that's a great, value play.
It certainly feels like it there for the first half, and I might even throw open my Bet Rivers app after we finish up Betting Weekly Live and get myself involved in that here at the Garden tonight. The second game of the doubleheader will be just after 9 o'clock East, and I'm sure that this is probably a big production, right, Doug? Usually they'll give you this big doubleheader, and in the middles where they'll force you that college football playoff rankings probably right in between. So you have all of that
from the arena.
From the arena, they'll give you all of that. Kansas and Duke is the nightcap. Big number here. Duke 10.5 with a 149 total.
And no Darren Peterson for the Jayhawks. He's the stud who might be the number one pick over AJ from BYU. Like, we don't really know that they have a few Cooper flags in this draft. Let's put it that way. So obviously the adjustments there. Bill Self's kind of weird with these types of games. He almost just like rolls over. He's capable of it. Duke is pretty loaded. I don't know if you guys remember, we laid 8.5 or 11.5 in some game opening week because they have the Boozer twins, which makes me feel so old that, Boozer has twins who are studs in college. I think I have to roll with Duke here. It's just a lean. It's a big number. Obviously, Bill Self knows what he's doing and everything, but I love Shire. I think he's fantastic. What a perfect successor to Coach K, just given the magnitude of the position and the spotlight. But I think Duke can pull away here. I don't want to lay short number first half or anything like that, but I think Duke's the right side here.
It feels like it is. I don't mind laying with Duke. I'm kind of with you on both of these with the favorites tonight at the Garden for a good double header. There are a bunch of other games in college hoops tonight that we can get to. And I'm going to, I don't get to say this very often, Doug, and I'm going to try it here. I got a text from my college basketball guy this morning. Okay, here we go. I got one from my college basketball guy. First one I've gotten this year. And this is what I was told. Tennessee Martin tonight at Florida State. Now, this was 22.5 this morning. It's down to 20 now at Bet Rivers. Guy told me this Tennessee Martin team has a whole bunch of older Europeans on it. They got this one kid from Serbia who's scoring like 20 points a game. They won at UNLV. They beat Bradley. Obviously not. I mean, they didn't beat Kentucky and Duke here. I understand that. But he says this is way too many points in Tallahassee against the Seminoles. So I like Tennessee Martin tonight with the 20 spot, Doug, against FSU.
Like it. I'm on board. I love these kind of texts we get. I'm going to have to follow up and send it to people. We got some time from between now and the end of the show. Even after the show till the tip off. But that's what this stuff's about. I mean, there's like, 327 teams in Division I basketball. It's funny when you started mentioning Europeans. This reminds me of when I was in college, and actually still the case now. So I played water polo growing up in LA and California, and then I went back east to school. And there was a lot of Euros I had to play against in college. What happens is these New York teams, it's Queens when I was in college, so Queens and St. Francis, now it's Fordham. They go overseas and recruit all these like 24-year-old freshmen who like served in the Bulgarian army for like 4 years at 18. They come in and they're, it's not soccer over there, but it's a bigger sport out there. And they come in and it's just like, they're like, junior Olympians playing against me in college. And it's, and so Fordham went undefeated last year until like the Final Four came out of nowhere. So it's like they just stacked it with like stud Europeans. So when you started mentioning that with Tennessee Martin, that's the way to go. Like, why do we have to go get Luka overseas? Why do we have to go get these guys? Why can't they play college here?
Well, I went and looked. They've got 2 kids from Serbia, a kid from Romania, a kid from Lithuania, a kid from Senegal, 2 kids from Russia. The whole team, Doug, is basically, they went and got a whole bunch of European players, older European players. These are technically juniors and seniors and all that. And they've been scoring a lot of points. So we'll have a little fun
It's
tonight.
happening a lot. Stojakovic obviously came over and went to the Sacramento King. His son is playing college basketball, right? So he's from here. So it's happening in a lot of other situations. And then sort of the lineage, right? Sabonis, his dad was a legend forever and then came over late in his career and played in the NBA. Then he came through college and obviously went to the NBA. Yep. So there's a way to do it. It's happening in water polo. Like Cal basically had a guy with a Greek Olympian. So a guy played for Greece. He came over and he won the equivalent of the Heisman for 3 of his 4 years in college. Like there's total ringers to be had. And so if you're Tennessee Martin, why not go get him?
That's it. Andrew says in the chat box, Bonnie's did the same thing. Went and got a bunch of Euros. That's because they have Woj as the GM.
Yeah, Woj. He's got all his international connections.
Went and got all those Europeans to play for them. There are a couple of other ranked teams tonight if you're interested. I mean, North Carolina's laying a huge number against Navy. Arkansas, a huge number against Winthrop. Late night, UCLA, a big number against Sacramento State. So everything else on the college basketball board, Doug, very big numbers.
You know how I feel about fading UCLA.
You've gone after them. You have.
Arizona, we were both on them last Friday.
You were. You've gone even that big. Who was that? That Georgia something team.
Georgia, the Wolves of Georgia
The
something. I saw them in action yesterday. They were like down 2 late. They were coming. I was like, oh, my Wolves are in action.
There you go. College hoops tonight. Gonna have a little fun at the Garden Den with Tennessee Martin down in Tallahassee.
Okay, so Bruins are laying 4 touchdowns to Sacramento State. I believe is that Mike Bibby's squad?
Yes, he's the coach at Sacramento
and Shaq's
State.
The GM,
I'm pretty
right?
sure.
Shaq's the GM.
Shaq's the GM. Is he really? Is Shaq the GM?
Or assistant? Yeah, he's involved. Let's put it that way.
That is Bibby's team. I just double checked for you.
Nice.
Bibby is the coach at Sacramento State. Well, he'll be up for it then. Bibby will want to have a good showing.
I mean, they've had some weak wins, but good losses, if you will. Lost by 4 at UC Davis and 5 to Santa Barbara.
Let's go. I mean, we're almost there. I mean, you got to see. I always say, Doug, these are fun. I know we're busy with football and we're busy with the NBA starting. You got to just dip your toe a little bit in this college basketball with some of these smaller teams, because even just seeing them a little bit now, you kind of put it in the back of your mind for March, right? When you see some of these teams and you try to make just a little bit of an imprint for them. So that's kind of some of these fun games that you have in college basketball.
I mean, look, UCLA hasn't covered a game, I don't believe, right? Like they're 0-4 against the spread and not even close. I guess the Arizona game was close. They lost by 4. They were catching 2. But as these huge favorites, they've not covered by 8 or more. So I think there's only one way to play this game. Now, Sac State's a different situation, but something to keep in mind.
There you go. College hoops for tonight. Let's go to the ice next. Yes, NHL, big night, 8 games that we have this evening. I'd like to thank the Edmonton Oilers for not showing up in Buffalo last night. Nice job by them, as the Sabres scored 5 goals. You would have figured that could get us home, but no, Edmonton took the night off with a 5-1 loss. So very unfortunate there. We'll start with the TV game. NHL Network does have a game tonight. Devils at the Lightning. This is the only thing that I would say about this game tonight, Doug, and that is the Devils are missing a lot of guys. We know that Hughes is going to be out now for weeks and months after whatever happened to him at that dinner last week with his hand. So that's bad for them. And they've got other guys like Dougie Hamilton, etc. on it. Tampa also missing a bunch of guys. They're getting a few back. You got Vasilevsky between the pipes tonight. It's actually even gone down. It was 6. It's down to 5.5. So I like that under when it was at 6. 5.5 is probably a little bit trickier, but it feels like an under with the Devils and the Lightning this evening.
Why is that? Because Vasilevsky?
Well, you got Vasilevsky playing against Markstrom, and then you've also got a lot of guys out. Devils still, they did win the other night, their first game without Hughes in the lineup. You've got 2 of the better teams in the East. Probably leans to more of a tighter game, especially with some stars missing. Just I don't think the Devils have the same firepower when Hughes isn't out there all the time. I think the Devils are going to want to grind him a little bit.
As you know, Bet Rivers does a wonderful job. Lets you have a slider, call it, with any sort of adjusted line, right? So when the quote unquote market moves from 6 to 5.5, you can still take 6. Yes. Current juice is minus 132. So would you rather do that?
The 6, I don't mind, because that kind of leaves you in that you got that parachute with the push, right? You got that 4-2 for you.
So the juice is manageable in your eyes at $1.32.
I believe so. Yes, I believe so.
Cool.
It definitely is for the Devils and the Lightning. Now we have 7 other games, and we will start here. The Leafs are back in action. They have the Blues in town. The Leafs have lost 5 in a row as well. They are a slight favorite against St. Louis, but the main thing that we talk about with the Toronto Maple Leafs is the total. It is a flat 6, minus 117 to the over. Of course, the long string was broken on Saturday night, Doug, but they're still 16 out of 19 this year, I believe, to the over, somewhere in that area.
Right. Well, they're undefeated in our eyes because we didn't have a show on Saturday.
We did.
So we're going to take over 6 here because, and I think this is important. I think their style lends itself to the overs, and that's not like they're losing every game like some teams, like the Sharks 2 years ago, were a lot of overs and they were just getting dusted, and they account for a couple goals. Right. So Leafs, I think, are going to play that way, home or away. So I think we got to keep riding the train.
Got to keep riding the train for the Leafs as they play against the Blues tonight at home. And the Leafs need to win a game, too. They've had all kinds of problems. And you know what happens in Toronto? The hockey team starts losing a bunch of games in a row. Everybody starts going nuts. So they need to get themselves a victory from that aspect. All right, a few other ones tonight that caught my eye. Chicago at home against Calgary. Now, Calgary has been awful. They're the worst team in the Western Conference so far this year. And this has flipped a little bit here because the Blackhawks are playing their backup goalie tonight. So the Flames are now favored at minus 120. Blackhawks minus 104. Hawks have been decent at home. They beat the Flames 4-0 a week ago in Calgary. I think they're the better team. Blackhawks for me, Doug, minus 104 tonight at home. So that was.
I know
one.
they've delivered for us in a couple spots.
They have,
right?
And the Blackhawks have been good to us as well.
Right. So I think, yeah.
So that's another way. Dallas tonight against the Islanders. Dallas is a big number now. It's up to minus 180 because the Islanders are starting Rittich. It was in the 160s even before that. But you've got a few things at factor here. The Stars have been hot. They are a much better team than the Islanders. Islanders have had a good road trip, but like Sunday night in Colorado, where they lost 4-1 and ended their winning streak, this is probably a little bit too much step up in class for them. You have Jamie Benn, the Stars captain, coming back tonight. He hasn't played all year. He had a collapsed lung in preseason. So they get their captain back. They have Ottinger between the pipes. Puck line, Doug. Minus 1.5 at plus 145 for Dallas. That's how I'd play it instead of laying the 180.
It's funny you say that because I was going to ask you, obviously it depends on the matchup and depends on what you anticipate as the game flow and things like that. But have you ever done regulation only kind of thing or
regulation
like
only isn't bad to get involved with. Now, as far as the regular time for the Stars tonight, where do they have the Stars at? Minus 109 for regular time.
Okay, so that's what I'm checking. Yeah, oh, there it is. Okay, I found it. So, but you can also lay a goal regulation.
Yep.
Which means that's sort of it's a hybrid puck line, right? Because puck line obviously can't win.
Right. It's a little bit of
overtime, but it's plus 120.
Yep.
So why don't you just do regulation minus one?
That's why I like having you talk through some of these things with me, because sometimes you can point me in some other directions that maybe we can do a little bit
puck
here.
line makes more sense. Puck line makes more sense. Because what? Oh no, I would do minus one. I would do minus 1 plus 120 because if they win by 1, you get your money back.
Right. On that.
So I think it's worth the extra 25 cents. I think it's worth versus plus 145. I would do plus 120. You get your money back.
Right, to go in that area, and remember that's obviously regular time. That's in the 60 minutes. So all of those things.
You would have lost anyway.
You would have lost, and I saw you put in the doc, and it is the overtimes, which have been pretty crazy. What's going on, and I know who has kind of sniffed that out, and that's the guy Jonathan Davis, who does a great job with the hockey betting. He's great with it, and he's been adding it up, and it's like plus 50 units or more on the season. That if you just played the overtime game to go to overtime every year so far in the NHL, it's been killing it. And they're usually around in the plus 300 area, Doug. Most of these games, some are a little more, 310, 320, but for the most part, it averages out around plus 300. That is wild. I couldn't even tell you why. So do we
start now? I mean, we've talked about streaks. Do we start now, or do we think the math's going to, or is like our coaches more playing for overtime? I mean, these are things we should be dissecting. And by we, I mean you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything.
Yeah. No, I don't. It's when you talk about being a streak, we're talking about, playing every game, every night, and this far into the season. I got a feeling that's got to tail off at some point. That many games are going to overtime, but. Maybe I'll test it out, Doug. There's 8 games tonight. So what would I need? 2 games to break even, right? I would need 2 overtime games.
If they're 3-1. So 6. Yeah, exactly. 18. Yeah, that would be on the nose. Probably an extra candy. 3.3 plus 310 would get a little extra.
Right around there. Maybe I'll have a splash tonight, Doug, and have a little fun. And go after it and jump
honestly,
on board.
The live better in me says if you have it and then teams are up 1.
Right.
Like you can play out of it by playing the opposite side. If it's 3-2 game, you can play over 5.5 plus 350 or something late. But obviously, maybe the juice won't be that high now that I think about live markets and goalies getting pulled. Yeah, because you don't want to do a team total,
right?
Because the other team could score a goal and then you'd lose 4-2, and then you're not getting the overtime ticket, and then you still wouldn't cash the hedge.
Yeah.
So it's got to be game totals over. You could always get the sideways sort of overtime. So yeah, there's ways to play out of it. But I'm gonna dig deeper in it myself here.
Okay, we'll have a little fun with the hockey. The other one late night was the Sharks, and really just the Sharks have won 3 or 4 at home. Utah played last night in Anaheim, so a back-to-back second night for Utah. Utah's lost 7 of 9 overall. So Sharks plus money at home. I still feel like this is one of these things where the Sharks are still kind of getting booked like they're one of the 2 worst teams in the NHL, like they were the last couple of years. I think they're a little better than that. So plus 114 for the Sharks is on my radar too tonight, Doug.
The over did not get there last night. We had a late night
No,
over. It wasn't a Shark Tank over. We have one tonight.
Duck Pond. You do have a
it
Shark.
Wasn't the Mammoth. We're involved, by the way.
Hey, 6.5 tonight at the Shark Tank.
It's a big number
for them.
It's a big number.
Sharks been playing some wild games, so you never, especially at home, we could get there. But I'm going to take the Sharks on the money line tonight too. And I love this Ranger Vegas game. I think it's a fun game. It's one that I want to watch because the Rangers have started to come out of it a little bit, I guess you could say. They're in Vegas. You got both starting goalies going tonight. Maybe a tight game, start of a road trip for the Rangers. Could be an under, but I'm not committed to it, Doug. But I kind of lean to the under a little bit with the Rangers in Vegas tonight.
All right. Well, a little F1 in town. Could be a raucous evening, although it's pouring rain all day today.
Is that this weekend? Is this weekend the F1 race?
Not a fan of the F1, if you ask me, just because it jams up all the traffic and everything. So,
and I saw they had to this year put like those big gray boards up on the walkways over Las Vegas so people couldn't stand there and watch the race on the walkways as they're walking by. Just let the people watch.
It's weird because Vegas loves their events, and everyone turns into like a NASCAR, a racing expert, NASCAR weekend, things like that. But there's just been some resentment towards F1. I think it's the stands and everything being barricaded for about a month leading up to the event.
Yeah. Of course, Henry Williams checking in and joining the conversation. Any thoughts on Brown versus Holy Cross with the hoops tonight? That is deep in the bag, Doug. For Brett, he says Brown's an embarrassment to the sport, so he's got a little bit more of a handle on it. Maybe
as a proud Brown University alum, I'm taking offense to this. You don't just stroll into the Pizzatola
3-point favorites
and come away with a win. I like their coach. We should have gone to the tournament a couple of years ago. We were up like 9 with a minute to go in the championship game of the conference tournament. They're 0-4, but they've played Vermont, Boston, BU, and Siena. It's not like Holy Cross is anything to be worried about.
Yeah.
I do not expect a ruckus crowd at the Pizzatola. I think some people go home. I don't think they're going home this early for Thanksgiving, but I do not expect a big crowd at the Pits tonight. I would not be laying the wood, but I would not be grabbing the points either with the Crusaders.
There you go. We gave you a little Brown Holy Cross here on Betting Weekly Live for tonight. If you like what you hear on our shows, as you should be signing up for the Betting Weekly newsletter. Get exclusive tips and free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. Make sure you also go and subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. Do that as well. So both of those things, there it is, bettingweeklystudios.com. Make sure that you sign up. All right, it's Tuesday, so we have to start looking ahead to some of the NFL and college football for this weekend. We got some action, too, we got to get to as well. Let's do the NFL first. The extra point, of course, talking about some things coming out of Week 11, heading into Week 12. What do you got for me, Doug, here for the extra point this week as we steam towards week number 12 in the NFL?
I mean, just what you said, it's week 12. Okay. This is not week 6. Oh. And so, Bill Parcells famously said, you are what your record says you are. So at this point right now, if the playoffs started today, I know they don't, but again, it's not week 6, it's week 12. the Chiefs and the Lions would not make the postseason. And they are who they are. Like, we know who Detroit is. They don't have Ben Johnson. They have a meathead of a coach who can't think on the fly as quickly as he needs to and call plays. The Chiefs have issues on offense with Mahomes not being the god he has been in recent years. They have a really good defense, but the world has caught up to them, meaning their division as well. Bo Nix and the Broncos are making the key plays this year. And there's going to be some regression. Like, I expect the Bears, it's like a coin flip if they make the playoffs, just given the schedule they have coming up. I think they're going to miss the playoffs, and I think the Lions are going to get in. That's why they're minus 400 still at Bet Rivers. But all it takes is a fluky loss. Remember, Detroit lost at home to Minnesota a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Another one of those, and that's a big one. And the Chiefs, the thing with Kansas City is they've lost all the teams they are going to be vying with, right? They lost to the Jaguars. So they're losing the teams that they're going to have a tiebreaker possibly with. So there's no guarantee they're going to beat the Chargers when they rematch them after beating them, after losing to them, I believe, in Brazil. So there's just no guarantee just because they're okay. So let's say the Chiefs are favored in their final 6-7 games, whatever it is. That doesn't mean they're going to win their final 6-7 games just because they were favored in the first 10 and they didn't win those. So the margin of error is just razor thin right now. And I think that's my takeaway. The teams at the top, they're teams we didn't expect. Colts, Broncos. We'll see. We'll see. But I think that's my biggest takeaway of where we are right now in the NFL is the big boys are not, in the playoff mix.
No, and the Chiefs, by the way, this next little stretch for them, it's not that easy. They're home for Indy this week, which we'll talk about. They're at Dallas on Thanksgiving. They're better than Dallas, but still, at Dallas on Thanksgiving isn't easy. Then they do play Houston, who they're in that mix with, both at 5-5. Then they play the Chargers again, who they've lost to already. They play the Broncos on Christmas night. There's not a lot of – they do have Titans and Raiders, but there's not a lot of Titans and Raiders on that Chiefs schedule over these last few weeks, Doug. They got some tough games.
And again, we know the NFL teams don't win every week unless you're the Chicago Bears or the Denver Broncos. But typically, teams don't win every week. You can't expect their best performance. So, yeah, the Ravens have won 4 straight, but they nearly lost last week. It took a injury to maybe Dylan Gabriel to prevent that. You just can't assume winning out when we know the NFL just because they're a 6-point favorite or whatnot.
Yep.
It's going to be, every year there's been a team with a double-digit win total that's missed the playoffs, okay? I thought it was going to be Baltimore after the 1-5 start. Probably not going to be the case anymore. Maybe it's Kansas City. Maybe it's Detroit. Maybe it's both of them. There may be good odds to back them now, but just think about the sequence of events you need and the health luck to go your way.
It's a lot that you're asking for there. That is for sure. As we usually do on a Tuesday, let's go for 2. A couple of early looks for this weekend's NFL games. And, I was going to ask you about this team you're going to go to first, Doug, yesterday, and that is the Seahawks. Yes, they lost that game to the Rams, but were you more impressed at how they were still in the game with Darnold throwing 4 picks and still having a chance to win it with a field goal? Or did you downgrade the Seahawks a little bit because Darnold threw 4 picks? What did you think of the Seahawks in a loss against Los Angeles?
So I texted a buddy who's very, very sharp and been on a roll in the NFL. And he also happens to be a Seahawks fan. So I asked him what he thought of the game. He goes, look, this is how I would play it, because he did play it. He goes, bet Darnold to throw a pick and bet the Seahawks money line. He's like, if he doesn't turn the ball over, they win. But there's a chance you can scoop both. And I thought that was interesting, right? And he even threw 1 pick in the first drive or something. He's like, well, we got 1 leg down. Now, worst case scenario, we can split. And they were right there, to your point. I think we know what bad Sam Darnold can certainly show. We saw that last year in week 18 and then the following week in the playoff game. That's why he's only making $10 million a year and not 40 and 30. But there's also some idiots who are making 40 as well, with Tua and Geno and all those guys. So I think you kind of know what you have with Darnold. And if it's a bad version of him, you got to play conservatively if you're calling the plays. In this case, I like the team total over. I think they can light these guys up. This Titans team showed a little bit more competence. They have a real coach as opposed to the nepotism baby before him. And then I think Cam Ward off the bye looked a little more competent. I liked the Titans a lot last week. And I said, I know they'd only covered about 5 times in the last 2 seasons. But I said, if they can't cover 7 points at home off a bye against the Houston Texans with Davis Mills, they're never going to cover again. So finally they did cover. Now, this is a bigger number. I think the team total is the way to go. I think the Seahawks want to step on the gas. And when Darnold's off that type of game, I think they're going to want to light it up a little bit. Confidence is important for a guy like that. And so I think the Seahawks team total, you can avoid the back door because I don't think there's any sort of, holding back that the Seahawks are going to do with their offense.
Usually most games between 2 and 8 teams the week before Thanksgiving wouldn't have a lot of eyeballs on them, but everyone seemingly wants to see Shedeur Sanders play, Doug, and they're going to get their chance when the Browns and the Raiders get together this Sunday.
This is going to be center screen treatment for me, and it's not because I'm a Raiders fan, which I am, and it's not because I care at all about Shedeur Sanders and the masses, right? The betting on him to win Rookie of the Year and all that stupid stuff those reports we heard going into the season. I just think this over-under should be 27.5. I think it's ridiculous. With that Raiders offensive line and Myles Garrett, how are they going to move the ball? They can't run, against this front. And you can't really throw against them because he needs time to throw. So as long as Geno doesn't just throw balls, up for grabs on his own 25-yard line after, kickoffs, I think we're fine. The Browns can't do much offensively. I think the Browns plus 3.5 are a pretty good bet. I think they can run the ball. I think Stefanski's an innovative play caller. Remember him against Carson Wentz and the Vikings earlier this year in London? They were doing a lot of passes in the flat and things like that. Crosby will be ready. I just think you can do a lot more misdirection. I think Stefanski's a better play caller than Chip Kelly. Short week for the Raiders. I think they're demoralized. They put a lot of sort of excitement into last night. So 3.5 feels like a lot. But the Raiders, one big win. Well, they beat the Patriots somehow in New England, which is hilarious. But they also won at home against the Titans. They blew them out. I don't think the Browns. I think the defense is too good. But I think Shedeur, he's green, right? He's very limited with his experience. So look better after a week of practice with the ones. So that's why I lean to the dog. But I think under 36.5. I know there's athletes. I know there's speedsters. But, man, I think first half under 18.5 is an absolute banger.
Got to have it. Slow it down. Nice little 3-0 first half between the Browns and the Raiders out in Vegas. They'll need some of those VIP suites down there, bringing over the bottles during that game to keep themselves entertained. But we just want them to do nothing, Doug. No points in the first half. The 2 for me.
Yeah, the no touchdown props have my attention too.
There you go. 2 for me. First one, we talked about a couple of trends that have been on fire. Well, this is one that you're going to hear a lot about. You probably already have, and that's the Lions after losing, right? The Lions are 13-0 against the spread, their last 13 games after an outright loss. This year, they're 3-0 in that scenario, and they won by 31, 15, and 22 in those 3 spots. They have the Giants coming in this week who stink. 11 flat is the number right now. This you would have to think is once again another Lions smash spot. Now, we thought that against the Vikings a couple weeks ago, but I don't think the Giant defense is anywhere near as good as the Vikings, Doug. So Lions minus 11 has kind of got my eye early in the week here.
Yeah. And are we getting Jameis or are we getting Jackson Dart?
I would bet that you get Jameis, honestly. I think you'd get Jameis.
I'm interested in this because I feel like he was on his best behavior.
He's ready
to the very end.
He's ready to uncork a few.
Because he knew he had another game on deck, so now he knows he's done after this game, regardless. With the concussion protocol, I think the substitute teacher treatments I think Jameis is ready to let it rip. The Lions' defensive front is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I think they want this game, like you said. They've been good off a loss. Problem is Dan Campbell. He's just such a loose cannon. And look, I like that he's aggressive because I think it's the right move most of the time. I think he's reckless too often, and that's the problem. He was going to go for it 4th and 17 down 10. What if the pass interference wasn't called? Okay. Let's say the PI wasn't called because it shouldn't have been, and they punted, and the Lions get the ball back with 1:20 and drive the field, score a touchdown, and either win in overtime or actually go for 2 and win. Everyone would be commending Dan Campbell, right?
Yep.
But let's not forget, he had his offense out there going for it on 4th and 17 down 10, and then Sirianni calls timeout. Okay. So then he thought about it, and then he goes, "Oh, yeah, let's kick it." And it was, of course, top of the net right down the middle. So my point is, he's so like aggro. He's like, we're going for it. That's what we do. That's who we are. Like, that's not smart. Okay. 3rd and 12 or whatever it was. I think they took a short sack. Like, you got to know you're kicking in that. Just the game needs to slow down for him, and he needed a timeout to do the right thing. And that's the problem with this. Now, whether it manifests itself in the not covering here, I don't know. I lean Lions here. How can you not? And I do think we see ugly Jameis for most of the game.
Yeah, that's kind of right up my alley for that one. And the other one is the under in the Minnesota Green Bay game, just because I'm not sure that J.J. McCarthy will score any points against the Packer defense at home. And I don't have a lot of faith in the Packer offense, maybe without Josh Jacobs as well. Under 40.5 kind of seems pretty appealing early in the week, Doug. I don't think there's going to be a lot
What do
of
you make of the
points.
war of words with former Viking Chris Carter saying, like basically McCarthy looks horrible, and how he looked, and then goes to Green Bay. Packers obviously have been a little shaky lately. I don't know. I mean, they got a decent win against the G-men.
They did, and I think the Packers will win. I think the Packers are going to win this game. The Packers defense has been really good at home at Lambeau. Even in the Eagle game they lost that Monday night. They are a good unit. And I just from what I've seen from McCarthy the past couple of weeks, that doesn't look like a good recipe for him going into Green Bay this Sunday. That could be, what are they scoring? 3, 7, 10, maybe at most. I don't think the Packers will score 30. So it feels like a nice under, at least early in the week at 40.5 for us. All right.
I agree. Do you think I jinxed Jacobs? Remember we were talking about his anytime touchdown, and finally the streak is over because
it was you. It was you, Doug. You got him with that one, Josh Jacobs. Lions cover with a Jameis pick 6 or 2 there on the chat box. Hey, pour it on Sunday. If he wants to chip in some pick 6s, I'm all for it. This against the Lions and the Giants. All right, and let's do some college football. We have MACtion tonight. 3 games this evening. Let's see what we got in a few of them. We'll start with this. Let's do, who do you got here, Doug? Central Michigan and Kent State. Is that on tonight's schedule?
I think the first question is the UMass game. Don't we have to talk about UMass with all those points?
34 is now the number. Now 53.5. Now, I'm not taking UMass. I know last week I was trying to get cute with them at home. I'm not going to do that. But maybe an under because, Ohio, I think they're going to win the game. Even if they cover, is UMass going to score, Doug? I'll ask you that. Will they score in this game?
Their team total is 9.5. Okay.
So
it's a good number, I think. You can't hang like 6.5, right? Like, this should be a blowout. Scrub should be in. Now, it's worth mentioning the MAC is fairly wide open.
Yep.
So Ohio definitely needs the win. My head's going to explode with tiebreakers. So there's 5 teams at 4 and 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's 1 5-1 team in conference play. So Ohio can't mess around. I think they should win out because they're at Buffalo next week. Buffalo, I think, is sort of like the big bird here, the one that doesn't look like the other. They've been the disappointment. They almost lost to UMass. They trailed at half at home, I want to say, to UMass. I think UMass is awful. I would lean to taking the points, and I would lean to the under in the game.
Taking the points, and I lean to the under.
Get involved.
The under was the first thing that kind of jumped out at me. That was kind of really where I was at with this game. Akron is getting 3 at Bowling Green with a 47.5 as well this evening in MACtion. And the other game is Western Michigan laying a touchdown at Northern Illinois. I believe Kent State's tomorrow night, Doug, with the MACtion. Kent State tomorrow.
My apologies.
It's okay.
So in terms of the Akron Bowling Green game, this is Eddie George and everything coaching the Falcons. I got to go under. Akron has a quarterback, Finley, who's pretty good. He's a senior. He can sling it. Akron's not allowed to go to a bowl game. They had a shot. They had 4 wins coming into their 2 final games. But the problem is, this is their final game one. But they lost by 7 to Kent State. They were favored, lost in overtime. I think Akron wants to let it rip, but they're just not good. Bowling Green's not going to get involved. I think the Falcons are going to want to run all over them and maul them. And the Zips will get first downs, but I think they'll ultimately end up punting. I think this is going to be 2 first downs and punts a lot in this matchup. So I think it's just too high of a number. 47.5, I know it's not a big for a college total, but Akron's pretty inept at times. So I think this is going to sneak under the total here.
Okay. And I kind of like Northern Illinois stinks in the third game. It's probably Western Michigan or nothing. And that's a touchdown on the road for the Broncos. But, I mean, 39? Is that the number? 39? Jeez. Neither team scores a lot.
Ugh. NIU only lost 6-3 to San Diego State earlier this year at home.
This game could be 6-3.
I'm trying to think where in Illinois. I'm trying to think of the I've driven by it a million times back when I worked out there. I don't like this Western team much, so I'm not going to get involved. I actually think I've avoided betting on either of these two teams' games all year. 39 is so low, but NIU, man, their pace. Although they did crush UMass last week. So their last 2 scores of their games, 45-3, 42-3, opposite ends on each one. Yeah, I think this one's going to be under 39, but I don't want to get involved. I think we're going to see field goals. I think we're going to see turnover on downs. Under's the only way I would play this.
There's nothing like a cool, crisp fall night in DeKalb, Illinois.
DeKalb, yeah.
DeKalb, Illinois. He would
and it's near Aurora, which is it's Aurora, Colorado is where Wayne's World was, but there's Aurora, Illinois.
Right, there you go. For tonight, MACtion this evening. We have that. We will do the college go for 2 tomorrow, Doug. That's right. I'm teasing it for tomorrow. So you have to tune in to Betting Weekly Live tomorrow to make sure that you get the college portion of the go for 2, which is all right because we got room for it on a Wednesday. We'll get it in there. But what we do have to get going is our best bets and the daily double for this evening. I'm going to step out of the box a little bit here, Doug, because I don't get too many of those texts very often. We talked about it earlier during the college basketball segment. I'm forcing you to get involved, Doug. Tennessee Martin tonight at Florida State, getting the 20. That'll be my contribution to the best bets this evening.
If you weren't going to take it, I was, because I'm sold by your guy, even if it's an imaginary friend, like when we were kids.
No.
I'm going to go over to the prop market in the NBA. I think the Spurs are going to come out ready to rock. No Stephon Castle, no Wemby. I think De'Aaron Fox will take over, but he's going to want to lead this team. Over 8.5 assists. We've had an adjustment already in the market since when we started the show. I'm okay with that. I think he's going to have double-digit assists. So Fox recently returned from injury. He's in a groove. Over 8.5 against a bad Grizzlies team that's also without Ja Morant.
And look, that little adjustment does push this pretty nicely here. The daily double for tonight, Tennessee Martin plus the 20, De'Aaron Fox over 8.5 assists, plus 288 for the daily double this evening. So nice jump because the 7.5, I think, was about 215 or 220. So we bumped that up to 288 with the De'Aaron Fox going to 8.5. So daily double tonight, couple of hoop plays for us on Betting Weekly Live. I'm feeling it, Doug. We're getting back on the horse tonight, baby. Going for this.
Let's do it.
Steve from Lynn. Time to restart the streak. I'm with you, baby. Let's go. Doug, tremendous job. As always, great job by everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, of course. Betting Weekly Live here. Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 o'clock East, 2 o'clock Pacific. We've got NBA. We've got more MACtion. We've got college hoops. As I mentioned, we'll do the college football go for 2 tomorrow as well. Betting Weekly Live, Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.